Alrighty. And YouTube is firing up. Alrighty. And YouTube is firing up. Here we go. And welcome to another episode of the Franchise Academy podcast. My name is Tom Scarta, the host of the illustrious podcast where everything you need to know about franchising is all in one spot. The Franchise Academy is dedicated to helping people understand the franchise world, folks that want to buy a franchise. We help out with that information. We also bring you some of the best franchise concepts in America right now, and all for your evaluation. We also work with companies to help them become a franchise. And we have a lot of folks listening, not only around the United States, but around the world. Just recently, literally this morning, had a call with somebody from Slovenia, which was interesting. Can't really help that person in franchising out there, but gave him some tips anyway. Today, we have Tom Hodgson, who is the CEO of Color World House Painting. I'm really excited about this because this is an old concept and a new concept all in one. And I'm going to explain why that is. So, Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Great. Thanks for having me, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. 2 Toms in one location, so we can't mess that up at least.
No, absolutely not.
So cool. I know that you're getting ready for your national convention. There's a lot going on in the office, a lot of buzz, and a lot of very excited franchisees, I know.
Yes.
We placed quite a few at our company, Franchoice, and this is a concept that is, what I mean by old is it's a concept that has been around since there's been buildings, right? So painting, residential, you guys do some commercial, indoor, outdoor. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah. So I founded Color World House Painting back in 1997. I painted my way through school before that, and then transitioned into realizing there's something to be said about marketing painting in general. And so one of the things that from being a student was they did a really good job of marketing us, clean cut, wearing a nice Color World polo, those types of things. Then it was a college painting company. And just really being able to generate leads because somebody wanted, like you said, painting is kind of an older concept and is usually Chuck in his truck running around painting things. So back in 93, 94, 95, when I was in school at Ohio State, it was like the student thing was so brand new and people weren't even doing that either. So we were cutting edge. People was like fresh. It was like kind of a neat thing to have out there. The problem was we couldn't execute it, right? We would make a mess. We would sell a bunch of paint jobs, not ever get them all painted, all the things that can come with the student painting side of it, which was a complete train wreck, which that's what I liked about the business myself was I love selling the paint jobs. I didn't really like painting them myself even. So that's kind of how I hurried up and got out of the painting side, figured out my second year of doing painting was how do I sell these things, learn how to sell, ended up being their top sales guy and their entire system and wanted to figure out how I could actually make all the money I sold selling paint jobs in school and execute them. And I couldn't get my friends to paint them all fast enough before I had to go back to school. So I wanted to figure out a way to hire contractors to paint. And they wouldn't let me do that. And so that was when I realized really quick that maybe I was smarter than everybody else. I don't know. That was just in my mind at the time. I was like, okay, how do I put these two together? Because there wasn't other franchise concepts at that point, at least not in Columbus, Ohio, where I found it. There wasn't a Certa Pro or somebody out there like that in our market at the time. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm going to market myself like the student guys, but then I'm going to use professional painters to paint the homes. And I did that my first year in 96, going into the 97 season. I'm like, I'm going to name myself Color World. I'm not going to be known as a student painting company. And I'm going to go out there and market myself. And that's kind of how Color was born. We took off crazy to a point where I paid cash for a car, at that time it was a Ford Ranger, and paid off all my student debt that I had. My parents had paid for me, And my mom, who is a bookkeeper and was an accountant, said, like, how much money did you make last summer painting houses? And so,
Right.
you realize you got to pay taxes on that. And so that's when I was incorporated in April of 97 and paid my taxes, paid my money that I owed. And Color World was officially on the books, born in 97, and took off from there. And that was kind of the beginning. It's how I got into it. So I've never really had a job before. This is all I've kind of known, and I've been growing it ever since.
Love it. I just love that, Tom. It's so cool because I grew up in a world where most people grow up, which is go to school, get a job, shut up, be quiet, and be happy. And most people wake up somewhere around 40 and say, man, I really hate what I'm doing. I don't even do what I went to school for. And so that's our client, right? When that person calls us and we put them in the right franchise. So what's cool about what you're doing, in my opinion, is that it flies under the radar. It's not something that somebody wants to come in and disrupt because it's kind of an unsexy business. Who wants to get into that? I'd rather get into like an app and do Uber, right? Because that sounds sexy. But this kind of business is a needed service. It gets done every day, and it gets done in every corner of America. But then you took it on steroids and you gave it a shot with other types of concepts within the world of color. So what else did you add on? What did you see was a good fit? How did that happen?
Yeah. So being that I was a student painter, we just painted outside. So I had customers asking us, do you paint interior? And I'm like, that's a great question. Sure.
Yes.
So that was like the first thing we did. It was like, okay, well, how do I learn from my own guys that work for me? Like, how do I even price interior paint? So it was truly like customers would ask me to do things and I wanted to figure out a way to do it. And so we started interior painting. And that was obviously in year one. We were just getting into it. What I knew was exterior. We learned how to do interior in 97, 98, really kind of started perfecting that. But then I got into it, customers starting to ask us about carpentry work. So as most of my competitors do, when somebody asks you, can you do carpentry? You want to keep limited to what can my painters repair? And then that's what we can do. So, and that's how I started into carpentry myself, what most of our competition does today. If there's a board or a door frame, great. But what I started getting into is finding that there was a lot of older homes in Columbus. I grew up in a historical part of Columbus, Ohio, called German Village. If you're familiar with Columbus at all, German Village is, homes were built in the 1800s, a lot of old gutters on there, copper gutters, things like that. A lot of things. And some of them didn't even have gutters. They were just box gutters, which we couldn't mess with. But a lot of times it was a situation where, wood repair was rotted in behind gutters. We always have to tear the gutters off. And then I would have a carpenter that I networked with, because I realized really quick that my painters could not do proper repairs the way I wanted to have them done, because I wanted my customer to kind of one-stop shop with me. If they needed carpentry work done, I wanted to handle it before my painters ever came in. And so we went out and I found what I felt was like a very skilled carpenter, a traditional carpenter. And I just said, look, I can keep you busy. And, most of them are like, okay, who's this young kid telling me he's gonna keep me busy? Well, I've had 2 carpenters in 23 years, put it that way, in our Columbus market, because I've kept the guys so busy. My other guy aged out, and about 12 years ago, we hired this gentleman named Jeff, and he's been with me ever since, and it's continuing. And he does not do any work outside of Color World as a subcontractor from March to like October, because we keep him that busy. And then what happened is that we would come in and he would price this stuff out for me. I would add it onto an estimate. And so Color World would have our painting price for the exterior. Then I would get my carpentry price. I'd add that on there. And then what slowly started generating interest was that a lot of our customers would come back to us and say, well, Tom, your carpenter did a fantastic job. Now, the problem is I have no gutters on like 2 sides of my house. What are you going to do about that? Do you have a great referral for me? And so, of course, I initially would refer that business out. Well, one year I passed out over 150 gutter leads to my gutter guy that was in a networking group of mine. And I looked at him the next year. I was like, I can't do this again. Like, I'll give you the business, but you just got to show me how to estimate these things. I'll just add them onto the quote. we'll all be happy. And that's kind of how Color World got into the gutter business. Was
Oh,
that
wow.
when we have a carpentry job and there's repairs, because I mean, most of the time, quite honestly, a house needs painted on the exterior because the gutter is leaking and causing paint to peel. And so when you identify that, which is easy, you're just walking a customer through a process of like, well, do you have somebody that can repair that wood? Absolutely, we can do it. Color World can do that for you. Well, when that gutter gets ripped off, do you have a gutter? Well, actually, Color World can do that too. And so that's what happens when we get into some of these bigger exterior projects, is that our customers are just like, well, what else can you do for us? And that's so unique that when they go and get 2 or 3 other estimates, all they're doing is asking these other painting companies, well, can you do this? And they're like, no, but I got a referral for you. So now the customer has 2 or 3 contractors working on their house, or they can just hire Color World to do the carpentry, paint the house, and when we're done painting the house, put a brand new set of gutters on it. And then once we have that customer in our system, we can retarget back to them with other services like pressure washing, obviously interior painting, as we talked about, that we can do. But one of the things that we added on about 12 years ago was holiday lighting. And so we started doing the Christmas lights, any sort of holiday season lights, even like Halloween, we even do some of those where we can go in there and hang a custom line on a home. We actually lease the lights to the customers, opposed to the customer having to invest into a bunch of lights and then stuck with lights and then always, having to come back and maybe purchase additional lights if, the low voltage lighting goes out, whatever. We handle all that for them. So we put up the lights, maintain lights, inevitably, like this year, we did 219 jobs in 7 weeks in Columbus alone. And it turned into over $70,000 worth of interior and exterior painting for 2020 already. So we've been able to, just by getting back on the property, talking to our customers, it really, our customers enjoy doing business with Color World, and it's like, what other services can you do? Now, we don't want to be a home service company. We want it to be focused around painting. Like, we're not going to do a $10,000 replacement of wood siding on someone's house and then let another company go paint it. It would have to be that we're painting the house to do that service. Now, holiday lighting purposely will, of course, do.
Hey, Tom, I want to stop for a second.
Sure.
I shut down the recording. I can't do any revenue numbers, so I'm gonna have to chop off that piece.
Okay.
Just so I can't do.
I was talking about, which is our corporate unit, but yeah, but I get it. That's fine.
It's okay. It's a long story I won't get into now. I can tell you.
No, it's okay. No, you're good.
Yeah, so we just want to avoid all of that, but I'm just
going to.
Okay. Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
So the holiday light thing is a phenomenal way to go.
Right.
So you started that in 12 years ago, and so
yes, yeah. So we've been able to add that on as an additional service for not only our corporate unit here in Columbus, but for all of our franchisees. So when they buy a Color World house painting franchise, not only are they getting to be able the opportunity to do carpentry, gutter installation, pressure washing, minor drywall repair, and painting interior and exterior, but the opportunity to be able to go ahead and do holiday lighting as well as an additional revenue stream for them through the off season. And so especially for our seasonal markets, it's a big part of the business model, because things shut down around December 10th.
Right.
Trees go up. You can't really paint in the inside of the house, no matter if it's a warm market or not. And it's a great opportunity to generate additional revenue.
So, yeah, and I love that it's all these services under one roof. So it's not only easy for the customer, the franchisee that buys in gets such a great deal because you have all these revenue streams under one roof, which is ideal. So do you have to be like a painter and a carpenter in order to be a franchisee with Color World?
No, so our franchisees are really the puppet master. We're not looking for any sort of, anybody that really has any experience in that at all. We want someone that's going to come in and run the business. If they want to be in the business doing the estimates, that's kind of where we picture a lot of our guys is coming in, running the estimates. We have a partnership with Sherwin-Williams, who helps us do the recruiting of the small little painting companies in the area, which we call subcontractors. But essentially, they're just small painting crews that a lot of times have a hard time coming up with enough money to do marketing, run around, do estimates, be able to support themselves. So one thing that they're good at is painting, and that's where we go after and recruit those guys. And Sherwin-Williams helps us do that. It's actually they're actually obligated. We've actually set up a partnership with them with doing that, so they're actually obligated to help us do the recruiting side of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we really help the guys try to find those people, and then just typical networking groups. You'll find your carpenters, your gutter installers, and things like that. As you build those relationships, you can then start adding on additional services. And if you're in a warm market with holiday lighting, your painters, when it's cold outside, our painters will offer to do lighting. If you're in a warmer market, we found this year that a lot of times our guys were looking for seasonal help because their painters were still busy painting outside. So it was just another additional revenue stream in our warmer markets, like in Florida and in Texas, where we have some of our warmer markets. And those guys were just continuing to paint outside as well as inside, but now they had, another 30 jobs of lighting to go do. And most of our guys were just dipping their toe in the water this year and really saw the benefits of it. And everybody's excited for 2020's holiday lighting season as well.
Yeah, definitely going to be a great thing. I know it's becoming pretty big on Long Island where I live. A lot of people are opting to have their lights done professionally, and especially when it's colder out here, nobody wants to get out on a ladder and start doing, hanging lights when it's 30 degrees out. So it's a pretty cool thing. I think it's a great fit. So are you saying that your painting franchisees or your franchisees in general really don't have staff as much as they have subcontractors? Is there like a mix?
Yeah. So currently all of our franchisees use a subcontractor model. So now if they have an employee in place, it's somebody that has wants to be semi-absentee and they've just hired a sales guy. We do have that model in place. We have about, I think, 3 franchisees now that do that. Our Austin guy, and then in Detroit, we have him, and then we have another guy that just came on. So we do have a semi-absentee model in place where we have a sales guy. Houston was the third one, and so that's been working really well. We just bring those guys in to training. Anytime we hold a training, all of our franchisees know that they can come around, they can bring that gentleman with them, he or she, and then we can do that. And we have 4 female franchisees right now. They're doing outstanding. They're out in the field doing a lot of sales as well. I think that's a huge plus for us. The 20 franchisees that we have in place, we have 4 of them are female and are building tons of great relationships with our homeowners and do a great job still with the painters. So we're excited to really share that as well. Is that, this isn't a male dominated industry either.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, that we can really find Mary from Orange County just came through training last week with us, and just did a phenomenal job out there dealing with live. We go on live estimates with these guys, and just a tremendous, picked it up quick, loved it, loves the holiday lighting side of it too. We were showing them how we were taking down all the lights here in town, and it just, people are excited about the opportunity to talk color. So in a lot of cases, we offer free color consultations. So a lot of our franchisees like setting that up, even though it can work through Sherwin-Williams, but they want to learn that aspect of it and build those relationships with our homeowners as well. So being very much in day to day.
Yeah, no question about it. So being a CEO is difficult enough. Being a CEO of a franchise company is kind of a whole different level, in my opinion. Are there any great books that you could point to that have helped you in your success that you've been having here at Color World?
Wow. I can't really point out to any exact book. I'm not great at that. memorizing all those titles off the top of my head. But I can't tell you the Book of Hard Knocks is the book that I've been through. I
Right.
can tell you that, again, I have not ever worked outside of Color World, outside of doing some consulting for some other brands as I was learning franchising. But, I'm very much part of the training process, as I just mentioned with Mary being in town. Um, I actually still take a lot of our franchisees out at least for a day or two with me personally and teach them, try to teach them, give them as much guidance as I possibly can. I mean, this is going into our 24th painting season here. And it is something that, I mean, I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to knowing the painting business in general, but there pretty much hasn't been anything that I haven't been able to see. But I've also,
Sure.
in saying that, I've made tons of mistakes, right? So I can also help steer these guys through,
Right.
help them navigate their way into being successful, not making the same mistakes I've made.
Absolutely. And so staying humble is always a great way to go. And people respect that, and it makes you very authentic. Are there any mistakes that you've made that you could think of that you've actually learned from that you could pass down to your franchisees, current and future?
Well, at the end of the day, Color World is a marketing company. I mean, we have um, lots of resources. We just partnered with Scorpion. They were one of the top
Mhm.
digital marketing agencies in the country. I believe the last 2 years, number
Absolutely.
one, I think in Entrepreneur Source magazine. We went out and tried to find the best because marketing at the end of the day is where I made a lot of my mistakes. I
Yep.
mean, I've tried to throw Color World on grocery carts. Bad idea. You would think, the people are out shopping, they're going to stare at their cart and have families because that's our customer. Somebody that's the stay-home mom with kids, they need their bedrooms painted, they need the outside of their house painted, they're staring at it. You think, oh, that's a great idea. Let's spend $3,000 on that. Bad idea. Never got a call. So there's little things like that that I can help
Well,
tell the guys, like, look, I don't do that.
yeah.
Let's stay digital. Let's stay in some grassroots marketing stuff. Those are the types of lessons I can help these guys because at the end of the day, we want our guys doing estimates, and it's really easy to figure out this business model and how much money you can make just by knowing what's your average size job, how many estimates can you do, and what your closing percentage is. I have to make any sort of claim on anything. It's just end
Yeah.
of the day, you can go out there, knock on 50 doors a week. And in big neighborhoods, you're gonna have a higher average size job. You're gonna know it's a numbers game. How good can you close? So
Yeah.
this is not a sexy business, as you mentioned. But at the end of the day, it's something that everybody needs. If you're scared of heights, you're not going to get on a ladder and paint the exterior of your home.
Right.
I didn't even personally like painting, and I've owned a painting company now for 24 years. I figured out a way to figure out how to do sales side of it. Most people don't like getting into the painting side. They want to hire somebody because they don't want to mess up their house either. And so it's not a fad. It's something that's here to stay. People are going to continue to paint. It's Amazon proof.
That's
So
right.
these are all the different things that we like about it. And I think people want a professional painting company. They want to know that their contractor isn't going to disappear in 2 years. They know if they hire Color World, who's a national brand that's now from coast to coast, they could feel rest assured. If that franchisee were to do something, they could fall back on somebody like us. And that's where we're trying to build it as a brand that our customers know they can count on.
Yep, amen to that. And that's exactly why we like the brand ourselves, because it is that kind of business model, and it's something that you could do in every corner of America. This is not just for LA and New York. This is really for everywhere. And like you said, it's those bedroom communities that need this kind of service, and to be able to look to someone like you who've been in the business, or you're the leader of the organization. Me as a franchise owner, I'm buying in. I need your insight, and that's what you have. And I always share with people, as you're looking at franchising, you want to have leaders in the business that have been around franchising and been around the particular industry that you're buying into, so
Right.
they pave the path for you. So it's you don't need, let's face it, you don't need a franchise to start a painting company, but without the franchise, like I call the franchise fee as an example, tuition up front, because you're going to make those kind of mistakes that you were just talking about. I'm going to put my name on shopping carts and then nobody calls you. You know, by the time
Right.
you get said and done, you're going to spend $20,000 in mistakes over 3 years if you last that long. And statistically, according to the SBA, you won't last that long.
Right.
So it's
Yeah. No,
buy a franchise, buy the mistakes so you
yeah,
don't have to make them.
correct. And one of the things that I'll kind of elaborate on that is that, we brought technology to to this business. And so something that, since I was a marketing guy myself in school, one of the things that, we were cutting edge when we had a website, right? I mean, that was in 97. Not a lot of people, painting companies had a website. We had one. I have absolutely terrible handwriting. So when PDFs were like PDF, like 101, I was like, how do I get one of those so I can do my estimates on that?
Right.
Because most of the time people couldn't read my chicken scratch on my 3-part NCR paper contracts that I had back in the day. So
Right.
we've always tried to take technology to the point where I'm pretty sure I might have been one of the first people to invent a CRM and didn't know it. I mean, I had some guy put together what I call a follow-up system in place. So when I did an estimate, a PDF would upload to it, and then I could call my customers back in that. And that was like in the late, I think 80, I don't know, 99, 2000s, I had that. And so we kind of just built on that. And then actually when CRMs did come out, I'm like, didn't I kind of have that already? Maybe I should have focused on that. I don't know. But so we've always developed that. But one of the really cool things where I'm going to is that now we've now with technology, we can upload before and after photos. We can actually we use Microsoft Surface tablets now. Microsoft's actually one of our sponsors at our convention, because we want everybody to have one of those. So they can actually, when we do holiday lighting, they can draw where the lights are going to go. We can upload it into our system. We take before and after photos. All of our photos, our color world estimates have a photo of the customer's home on it. And then we take that technology and we dump it into what we like to call dispatch, where we can then dispatch our painters out to these homes. Our customers are then notified when the painter's on their way out, or if it's another contractor coming out, like, our color consultant, maybe the gutter guys are coming out, whatever the case may be. And then we take it all the way back to integration, all the way into QuickBooks for our franchisees too. So when they enter in a payment in our CRM, it goes right there. So we've added technology into there, along with, like I said, Scorpion, and on the digital side, building out the websites for our franchisees. So when they come in, they're buying an entire business, as you explained, but they're getting more than just knowledge. They're getting technology with something you wouldn't necessarily think of having technology, like a painting company.
Love it. Love it. So Tom, what's one myth about franchising that you would like to bust right here, right now?
Well, I would say the myth would be that you're paying all this money every single month for nothing. That's so far from the truth. Not only did what we talked about from an advertising standpoint, you can just save somebody, but just the resources. For us, we're in we've been around a long time, but we just started franchising over the last couple of years. We have upwards of 70 units now, but you know what? We have an entire operations team in place that helps our franchisees not only onboard, but support through the process. My operations guy has been with me. It actually his 15-year anniversary is in a couple of days, getting him a nice new suit coat. But he was actually a painter for me for 3 years before that. So he's actually been with me 18 years. And, when we were training people just in our different cities before we ever started franchising. And so our operation team's been in place for a lot of years. I mean, heck, our power washer's been with us equally as long. He's been here forever, just even in our local corporate unit. But we have guys, they come on, they stay, but we can support our franchisees and build in all kinds of additional value. So our guys feel like they're not just wasting away when they pay a royalty.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. So Tom, how could people find out more about Color World. Of course, you could go to thefranchiseacademy.com, contact me, but what's the website for you guys?
Yeah, colorworldfranchise.com is our franchise site. You can learn and get some more information there, or you can just go to colorworldhousepainting.com. We also work for Franchise Fastlane, so you can go to their site and find us and see some more information about Color World on there. And
Yes.
of course, Aaron can help you, who's our sales rep over there and director of Color World. So,
Gary, absolutely. Yep, great guy. Awesome. Well, Tom, I want to thank you so much for being on the Franchise Academy podcast here. There's so many people that need to hear this kind of information and realize that great franchising is not just fast food. Matter of fact, there's not many great franchises you could kind of make this revenue that you could make with the minimal investment on a Color World that you could make you could do so much better than being in a food franchise. So it's
no build out
amazing.
like Color World, so no build outs.
No build out. It's
That's
a great concept. We've placed people in the business and they're killing it. First month out of the gate, they're just doing so well. They're so happy. So I love to have a great concept like yours in our inventory. So again, I appreciate your time. And, if you're listening to the Franchise Academy, you could go to thefranchiseacademy.com and learn more about Color World and learn more about how to buy a franchise. So I appreciate you listening in, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more franchise podcasts coming up. Tom Hodgson, the CEO of Color World, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we will talk to you soon and have a great convention coming up.
Thank you.